Welcome back, Legion. Today I want to talk to you guys about maximizing your training. So we want to get the most out of every single training session that you complete. You don't want to just rock up and go through the motions. That'll have a small contribution to you getting better, but in the long run, it's going to be much better to have really good intent at every single training session and getting the most out of every training session. Each rep, whether it's in the gym, on the track, in the pool, on the field, whatever sport you play, you want to try and complete each rep that you're doing with perfect form. Now, it's just the intent. I understand that not every rep's going to be perfect and we're allowed to make mistakes. But think about it like this. Don't you think 10 perfect reps would be better than 100 poor reps? I'm all for skill acquisition being repetition and trying to improve via just repeatability and consistency. But if you are consistently training poorly or cutting corners or not doing it as well as you think you should be doing, then the results aren't going to be as good. And really the only person you have to blame is yourself. Good way to think about this is from a day to day, week to week, month to month, and year to year perspective. It may not seem like much on the day if you just kind of rock up and do whatever, and don't get the most out of your training session. But if you're doing that every single session, leading into every single week, into every single month, into every single year, the result is going to be poor. You know this, or at very least, you're not going to be as good as what you could be because you decided to cut some corners. Now, this is more mental than it is physical. The brain, the mentality, that will tell your body what to do. Your body will follow the instructions that the brain is giving it. So this is very much like a mental bias training. Get your mentality right, and the physical will come. Initially, it might be your responsibility to make an emphasis on it, but ideally we want to create habits to make it more automatic. So you don't even really need to think about training intent when you're going into the gym or on the track, whatever you're doing. Start with consistency. So just making a simple habit of being consistent. So just going to the gym or going to training in a very regular basis. And then you can add quality to that. So I'm not just going to go to training. I'm going to perform my absolute best at every single training session. This doesn't necessarily always mean going 100 miles an hour, but it means that you want to get the absolute most out of each session and making sure that each rep you have the intent to do your absolute best. A really good analogy for this is trying to be accountable for each rep. So if we think about, say you've got a gym session and you've got 100 total reps, just over many exercises, right? Let's say you accomplish 80 of those reps with as best form as you possibly can, like you were really, really happy with 80 of those reps. Now, that's 80% effective. That sounds pretty good, right? And that's fair enough. But there's still 20 reps that weren't quite spot on, weren't quite perfect. Now for this session, doesn't seem like much, but if you accumulate this, say you train 3 times a week and you're holding that 20 rep, that's 60 reps in a week. If you do that from week to week over a month, that is 240 reps over a month. And if you do that over 6 months, that's 1,560 reps that aren't quite right. And when you think about it like that's a lot of repetition that you're not getting right. So that's poor repetition. So to at least have the idea of trying to make every single rep as good as you can. Good way to do this is to gamify it. Say to yourself, how many perfect reps can I complete today? Goes back to what I said before, quality versus quantity. The 10,000 hours of mastery, that's fair enough. But what if you completed 10,000 hours of poor quality? You're probably not going to get very good, or not as good as you should be. Now, to get better at this, we can take a little bit of inspiration from the man Kobe Bryant, that Mamba mentality. So mental skills training is a great way to start to develop that mentality, that killer instinct, that idea of going into everything that you do with really good intent. So as an example, within the gym, you can have a look at your program for the day, and you can just look at it. You can look at it and go, okay, I've got deadlifts today. What am I trying to achieve out of these deadlifts? Okay, how do I execute these deadlifts with the best intent? And there's millions of variations, obviously, but looking at your program and looking at what are you trying to achieve today? Is it a strength session? Is it a conditioning session? Is it a speed session? And then getting the most out of that so that you are actually improving those qualities that are written down and that you want to improve. That's what a plan is. A plan is great, but how you execute the plan is more important. You can also add a little bit of motivation with this through music. Flick the switch. Set up a playlist that gets you into that mindset. You know, training sessions might be an hour to 2 hours max. So it's an okay part of your day, but realistically, there's another 22 hours of your day. So all we're saying is flick the switch. Get into that mindset for that period of time. Once you're done, you can flick off. You can think about other things. But when you're either in the gym or on the track, you need to be going hard. You need to be working at your absolute best. And then post-session, reflect, critique. How do you think you performed? Did you achieve the objectives you set out to do at the start of the session? What did you do well? What didn't you do well? How can you get better? What are you going to do in the next session to get better? A great addition to this is a personal coach, or having a coach in general. So elite sporting teams have coaches. The idea is to make you better. The way we think about it is it's a bit of an inverted U. So beginners typically need coaches. They need to be taught how to perform certain skills. They need to be taught how to execute certain exercises in the gym. And over time, we develop a little bit of autonomy. We learn enough to kind of think we can do it by ourselves, and that's great. And this is where you would think more of an intermediate trainer. So this is where you might go out and train by yourself. And you get X-Far with that. You might do really great with that. But at some point, you need to come back down the U. If you want to go to the next level, it's important to have a coach. Someone who can guide you through the processes. Someone that you can also rely on to help you when you're not really feeling it on certain days. So if you can come into the gym or on the training track and have someone there that is willing to get you into that mindset and hold you accountable to that mindset, it's such a mental relief and release for you. It's not as stressful knowing that you have someone that is there to support you. By this stage, if you are an experienced either lifter or athlete, fair enough, you might not need skill or technique critiquing. Although realistically, when do we ever master a skill or technique? But maybe you don't need it, or maybe you need really finer points. A coach can still offer really great value through these other things. Perspective, having a different set of eyes on the situation, knowledge, experience, and like I said before, just that support, just knowing that there is someone else there that can help you through this journey and help you achieve your goals. Hopefully that was informative for you guys today. If you have any questions, please comment below. Thanks.